And a man who lifted his trophy 6 times, Steve Davis. Steve, what a tournament ahead.
Yes, it certainly is. And I think the reason why is that there are, as we keep on saying every year, no easy draws. I think probably tougher to predict the winner this year than ever before. But the 16 qualifiers that have come because of that. So every player who's a ranked top 16 player has got a tough match ahead.
And of course, Steve, I hate reminding you, 30 years now since that famous Black Ball final against Dennis Taylor. Where's that 30 years gone?
Frightening, yes, but it seems an irrelevance today, to be quite honest, because it's a modern day game out there. But obviously we will have to talk about it during the tournament and might have to mention Dennis Taylor's name on numerous occasions.
Barry, you've changed qualifying. Yep. We were battling it till late last night at Ponds Forge.
Yeah. All successful sport has to be brutal. In today's world, the customer demands it, you know, and the qualifiers didn't let me down. That was brutal, top quality sport. And those guys, those 16 qualifiers, can walk out on that stage of the Crucible with their head high. They've earned their spot the tough way.
And how open is the BETFRED World Snooker Championship this year?
Well, as Steve's already said, there are no bad players at the Crucible, and they've got through toughest regime. The top 16 are there on merit of what they've done during the year. They've earned their spot, and they've performed over a 2-year ranking system to be undoubtedly the top 16 best players in the world. The 16 qualifiers, no one could have gone through more pain and suffering than those guys. This is going to be wide open. I'm glad I'm not a bookmaker for once, because I'm looking for a lot of shocks, and I think the top players are under a huge amount of pressure, and quite rightly so.
Okay, the draw is about to take place. Steve Davis will draw out the top 16. Barry Hearn will draw out the 16 qualifiers. So, Steve, if I can ask you to start the draw, please.
Number 2.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, the Rocket, 5-time world champion and current UK champion.
We'll play number 31.
Craig Steadman, through to the first round proper after 14 years of trying.
Well,
number 11.
Number 11, Marco Fu, Hong Kong's finest, a former Grand Prix and Premier League champion.
We'll play number 27.
Jimmy Robertson, Sussex Potter, set for his second trip to snooker's Theatre of Dreams.
Number 4.
Neil Robertson, Australia's best ever player, the 2010 Crucible King.
We'll play number 26.
Jamie Jones got to the quarterfinals on his Crucible debut 3 years ago.
Number 9.
Joe Perry, the gentleman, is in the best form of his career, having won the Players' Championship.
We'll play number 32.
Zhang Anda, Chinese talent who ran Stephen Hendry close on his previous appearance.
Number 14.
John Higgins, one of snooker's all-time greats, world champion 4 times.
We'll play number 17.
Robert Milkins, the highest seeded qualifier. Milkins beat Neil Robertson at the Crucible 2 years ago.
Number 13.
Ali Carter, bravely fighting his way back from illness. Carter is a 2-time Crucible finalist.
Number 21.
Alan McManus, resurgent veteran who got to the last 8 at the Crucible a year ago.
Number 5.
Barry Hawkins, a winner of 2 ranking titles and a runner-up at the Crucible 2 years ago.
Number 22.
Matthew Celt knocked out Jimmy White in the qualifiers to earn a second trip to the Crucible.
Number 16.
Stephen Maguire, winner of 5 ranking events and this season's Lisbon Open.
Number 23.
Anthony McGill, rising Scottish star who's into the world's top 32 and looks set for the top.
Number 8.
Sean Murphy, current Masters champion, looking to win the world title 10 years after his first triumph.
We'll play number 29.
Robin Hull, Finland's leading player, lost to Ronnie O'Sullivan in the first round last year.
Number 12.
Mark Allen, the Pistol, has won 2 ranking titles and got to the World Semis in 2009.
We'll play number 20.
Ryan Day, 3-time quarter-finalist at the Crucible and a renowned break builder.
Number 15.
Mark Williams, 2-time world champion who has recently climbed back into the top 16.
We'll play number 24.
Matthew Stevens, Crucible runner-up twice, a former UK and Masters champion.
Number 3.
Ding Junhui, China's best player and looking to become the first ever Asian world champion.
We'll play number 18.
Mark Davis, former 6-red world champion who has found his best form in recent years.
Number 1.
Mark Selby, the defending champion, world number 1, looking to break the curse of the Crucible.
We'll play number 25.
Kurt Methylin, Norway's top player, making his Crucible debut.
Number 10.
Stewart Bingham, winner of 3 titles this season, including the Shanghai Masters.
We'll play number 28.
Robbie Williams, the Wirral Wonder, made his Crucible debut last year.
Number 7.
Ricky Walden, former Crucible semi-finalist and winner of this season's International Championship.
Number 19.
Graham Dott, 3-time Crucible finalist who lifted the famous trophy in 2006.
And finally, number 6.
Judd Trump, the ace in the pack, a man in form having won the recent World Grand Prix.
Sorry. Number 30.
Stewart Carrington won Junior Pot Black at the Crucible in 2006 and now set for his pro debut. Right, that concludes the draw for the BETFRED World Championship. First of all, Mark Selby, how would he be feeling trying to retain his crown?
Well, obviously, we've had players that have in the past struggled. First rounds are always difficult. But you just don't know until you get there what type of form you're in. So I think Mark Selby's a very balanced player mentally, so he may not have as much trouble as others have in the past, like losing 10-1 in their first round when they were defending it.
Barry, some cracking games.
Unbelievable.
What about Mark Williams versus Matthew Stevens?
Well,
that looks a cracker.
You've got an all-Welsh clash, you've got an all-Scottish clash, but the one that really hits me more, what price that coming out, the very first, Ronnie O'Sullivan against Craig Steadman, making his debut at the Crucible. I mean, that's a pressure game for both players. One with nothing to lose, one with everything to gain. The Rocket's going to be under pressure there.
There's a couple of great Scandinavian players that have impressed, Robin Hull and Kurt Methylin, and they play from different countries around the world, and they've got tough matches. They're playing Sean Murphy, and my memory's gone for 2 seconds. It was a tough
You've got Mark Selby versus Kurt Methylin.
Yeah, Mark Selby. They've both got tough matches, but they've been great cueists. Those 2 matches for me stand out as 4 great cueists going to the table.
Yeah, Sean Murphy, Robin Hull. Right, idea of a winner, Steve, for you.
Yes, let's have a winner.
And what is your idea of a winner?
Oh,
The current champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Well...
Plenty of former champions in this field?
Yeah, loads, yeah.
Come on, name one.
Name one? I haven't got a clue, and I don't think anybody else truly does. I mean, obviously the bookmakers, including you, will be making Ronnie short price the most, but I think that's more on the case of how much money would go on him if you didn't make him a bit longer.
Shall I make him a bit longer? He's currently 2-1. We'll make Ronnie O'Sullivan 3-1. So 3-1 the field for the BETFRED World Snooker Championship. Ooh. There we are. I've just made Ronnie a bit longer. 3-1 the field now, Barry.
Well, I can't have a bet, as you know. That's not allowed for any player or anyone associated with the game. That's the type of game we run here. But 3-1 is an extremely attractive price. That's one of your bonus bets, obviously. As Steve said, there's some great games there, and I think what we're going to see, first round shockers. First round shockers. If you're going to have a bet, by all means have a bet in moderation. I'd keep your money in your pocket till the second round.
And Steve, finally, before we wrap
Yeah,
up...
winners, yes.
No, I'm going to ask you
sorry.
about the Crucible. How special is a Crucible? You won it 6 times there. It's just a unique venue in sport, isn't it?
It is, and the fascinating thing is 16 players are already through to the Crucible, and they're playing against players that have played 3 tough matches to get there. You would expect to some degree that the players that have had those 3 tough matches would have an advantage because they are match hardened. But it resets for the Crucible because it's such a different event, such a different arena, that effectively you both go in cold into the new arena.
Sum up the Crucible, Barry.
Well, it is one of the great British sporting moments of the year when you take out, the Wimbledons and the FA Cup finals, the Grand National. Right up there is the BETFRED World Snooker Championships. The Crucible is an iconic venue. It's small enough to be so personal. The players will literally be able to feel the crowd breathing. There's nothing quite like it in the world, and pressure is what makes people tick, and the best will come to the top because they're going to have to cope with the Crucible pressure. It's tough. It's going to be tough for all of them.
32 players, 17 days at the Crucible. Quickly recap the draw for you. Mark Selby versus Kurt Methylin. Ronnie O'Sullivan versus Craig Steadman. Ding Zhonghui versus Mark Davis. Neil Robertson versus Jamie Jones. Barry Hawkins versus Matthew Celt. Judd Trump versus Stewart Carrington. Ricky Walden versus Graham Dott. Sean Murphy versus Robin Hull. Joe Perry versus Zhang Anda. Stuart Bingham versus Robbie Williams. Marco Fu versus Jimmy Robertson. Mark Allen versus Ryan Day. Ali Carter versus Alan McManus. John Higgins versus Rob Milkins. Mark Williams versus Matthew Stevens. And Stephen Maguire versus Anthony McGill. That concludes the draw. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for the BETFRED World Snooker Championship. The action starts at 10 o'clock live on the BBC on Saturday morning, when we'll see the defending champion, Mark Selby, in action.
Well done, well done.